Welcome again to the Old Principal. 欢迎你来收看老校长的英文节目。Okay, so now today we are in number 63, Grandfather's House. Grandfather, of course, is 祖父. And here is a house very similar to my grandfather's house. Okay, now, one thing I want you to look at is, see this green stuff here? That's ivy. That's ivy. Okay. 爬山虎. Okay. In fact, some people say that it's like 藤类的. Okay. 藤类的. Okay. So we're going to talk about that today. And I thought that was pretty cool. Although in this picture, you'll notice that behind this picture is a very tall modern building. Oh, when I went to my grandfather's house, no big buildings like that. Okay. And this picture actually comes from England. 那我的祖父也是英国来的. So, and many things about the picture, very interesting. So, with that, we need to ask Mrs. Ash to join us to read the story. Now, I've given her a homework assignment. Okay, and her homework assignment is to tell about her grandfather's house. Actually, it was quite boring. Maybe your great-grandparents' house. Did you ever go to your great-grandparents' house?
Yes.
Well, that must have been a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah, because we are the 老校长. So that was a long time ago.
That's right.
Okay, so go ahead and read this, and then I maybe have some time later on we'll just talk about your grandfather's house or whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Number 63, Grandfather's House.
My grandfather lived in a large old house across the street. He was bald on top with white hair on the sides of his head. He had a bushy mustache that made up for the lack of hair on top. In later years, he was so crippled that he had to walk with 2 canes. Grandfather was a very interesting man, and his house was as interesting as he was. For instance, the house was covered with ivy. Ivy is a plant that climbs up and attaches itself to the outside walls. The ivy made the house look like living green during the spring, summer, and autumn. But during the winter months, the ivy leaves died and fell away, thus giving the house a naked gray look. While I was still very young, my Aunt Martha and Uncle Keith moved in to take care of Grandpa. My aunt was a good cook. In fact, I remember Aunt Martha always as being in the kitchen. There was a certain mystery about my grandfather and his house. Everything looked so strange and so old. He never wanted anything to be moved or changed. Sometimes when we were brave and when Grandfather wasn't paying attention, we would sneak upstairs and look into his bedroom. Grandpa's bedroom had a very big bed, and sometimes we would tiptoe over to the bed and lie down on it and imagine what it was like to be a grandpa. I remember one of the mysterious things about Grandpa's house was the brass spittoon out on the back porch. It had a lid on it, and we were instructed never to touch it because there was a bat inside. As little children, we heard stories about blood-sucking bats, and we were frightened. It was many years before I ventured to look inside. and by then the helpless little creature was dead and gone.
Okay, so actually you saw my grandfather's house, but I
Yes.
don't think you ever went inside it.
No.
You didn't.
Mhm.
Okay, so grandfather's house. Now we begin today's story. Very simple one, so it'll give us a good opportunity to do some talking. Okay? So, grandfather's house. Let's begin. Okay, we begin. My grandfather lived in a large old house across the street. Okay, so we lived on one side of the street, and Grandpa lived on the other side of the street in a large old house. Actually, Grandpa built his own house. Now, people don't usually build their own house, but Grandpa built his own house. Going on, he was bald on top, a little bit like me, you know, not too much hair. In fact, he had no hair on top. I still have, 我还会有几根呢, but he had no hair, zero. 真的是光头, okay? No hair on top, 在上头, but white hair on the side. So my hair is not white yet, okay? White hair on the sides of his head. He had a bushy mustache. Mustache. What is a mustache? Okay. Now, Terry, you're going to have to take a good look at me. Okay. This is a beard. This is a beard. In fact, you can say the whole thing is a beard. Okay? That's a beard. But a mustache is just this part here. Can you see that? Right there. That's a mustache. But if you want to say the whole thing, oh, he has a beard. A beard 也包括 mustache. Okay? But a mustache is just this section right there. Okay. Now, whatever it is, 胡子, huh? Okay. Okay, he had a bushy mustache, and his mustache not like mine. Mine not very bushy, but his was very big, very interesting. That made up for the lack of hair on top. Okay, 补他上面所缺的头发. Okay, so people ask me, they say, 哎，老师，你为什么留胡子? Actually, a good share, I don't know, maybe half of my adult life, I've had a mustache. Maybe half, maybe 3/4. People ask me, well, why do you wear a mustache? Why? Well, I say, joking, I say, 保持平衡, because 头上就少了很多头发. So to keep my head in balance, I've got to wear a mustache. 开玩笑. Okay, anyway, that's the way it is. Going on. In later years, he was so crippled. To be a cripple is 瘸腿. Then he had to walk with 2 canes. Okay, 2 canes, 这个拐杖. So he had one in one hand, actually it was just like an upside down J, okay? And so he had one, and he would go like this. And I can still remember Grandpa would walk like this. He would walk like this. And then he would walk like this. Very slow and very methodical. He lived, I believe, into his 90s, but very crippled. So he had to walk with 2 canes. By the way, when we grandchildren were not very good, guess what the canes were used for? boink. So we had 肯定是要做乖的孩子. Okay. Now let's go on to the next one. Grandfather was a very interesting man. Okay, 很有趣的一个人, and his house was as interesting as his. 一样有趣. Okay. For instance, the house was covered with ivy. 刚才给大家看一看呢，这个绿叶子的这个爬山虎 is ivy, 是藤之类的. Some people say 藤. Okay. Anyway, it's up there. Lots of green leaves. 叶子都是绿色的. Go ahead. Okay. Ivy is a plant that climbs up and attaches itself. 它就 where? The outside walls. Okay. So this is outside walls, 外墙. Okay. And it climbs up, 爬上. Okay. And attaches itself. 附在, 这个粘在, 附在 to the outside walls. Okay, go on, go ahead. The ivy made the house look like it was living green, 绿油油的, living green during the spring, summer, and autumn. Okay, spring, 春季, 这个夏天 and then 秋季, okay? All very green. Only in winter, not so green. In fact, no green at all. In fact, going on, but during the winter months, the ivy leaves died because it's very cold there, and it gets below freezing, and they 掉叶子 fell away, thus giving the house 使那个他住家 have a naked gray look. Naked is 赤身露体. Now, when you don't wear clothes, okay, in this way, 这看起来好像naked 灰色的 not kind of ugly. But very interesting inside. Just looked ugly during the winter. Okay. While I was still very young, my Aunt Martha and Uncle Keith, okay, Aunt 婶婶 Martha, 她的名字是 Martha, 是我爸爸的最小的妹妹, okay? I don't know whether that's 婶婶, but anyway, that's what I'm translating. And Susu, Keith, okay? They moved in to grandfather's house. They moved inside the house to take care of grandpa, okay? Okay, grandpa is another way of saying grandfather, 祖父. You can say grandpa. In fact, grandchildren often say grandpa. They don't say grandfather. Yeah, maybe they do, but not very often. They say grandpa this, grandpa that. My aunt, 我的这个婶婶 was a very good cook. Oh, she was a good cook. And always very interesting food. And I remember she was always, well, in fact, let's look at it. The next one. In fact, I remember Aunt Martha always being in the kitchen. In fact, almost every single time I went over to Grandpa's house, Aunt Martha was in the kitchen. They had 3 children, and their 3 children were the exact same ages as the 3 children in my family. My cousin was 1 month older than me, even less than 1 month. about 3 weeks older than me. So we were all about the same age. And so they had a big family. You had 5 of their family plus Grandpa. There was a certain mystery about my grandfather and his house. 有一点的神秘感, okay? A certain mystery about the grandfather and his house. Everything looked so strange and so old. Actually, the house was built, let me guess, the house was built before 1920, before 1920. So it was really quite an old house. Okay, everything looked so old. He never wanted anything changed or moved. Now, you need to understand my grandfather. My grandfather had, my wife often says, everything, a place for everything and everything in its place. 你拿东西的时候有一定的位置，你用完了要放回这个那个位置 okay? So, and so Grandpa was kind of like that. Everything, a place for everything and everything in its place. He did not like change, okay? And he did not like things moved. In fact, when you moved something in Grandpa's house, you were almost always going to get in trouble. Don't move anything in Grandpa's house. Also, don't walk next to Grandpa's flowers. 他的花园, don't walk close to it, because I can still remember, even though he couldn't go very fast, he would come out on the porch, 在他的家这个前面，他走到的, What are you guys doing down there? Hiya. So you have to be very careful with Grandpa. Sometimes when we were brave, 很勇敢, and when Grandfather wasn't paying attention, 他不注意的时候, we would 偷偷的 sneak upstairs, 爬这个楼梯，爬到这个上楼, and we would look into his bedroom, 他的卧房. Again, Grandpa's bedroom had a very big bed. I think I slept on the bed once, but the bed was so high that I think I fell off the bed, and I 掉到这个地板. Okay, very big bed, and sometimes we would tiptoe. You know what tiptoe is? Okay, where you walk very carefully. Tiptoe. 很安安静静的 tiptoe. Okay, 不出声音. And we would lie down on his bed. Actually, lie on his bed, and then we would 想象, imagine what it was like to be a grandfather. 要想象怎么样做一个祖父. Okay? Whoa! Guess what? I am a grandfather now. So, but in those days, that was more than 60 years ago. 60 years ago, we imagined what it would be like to be a grandfather and have a big bed. Going on. One of the things I remember, mysterious things, okay, mystery, 奥秘, 神秘 things at Grandpa's house was the brass spittoon. How do I explain what a brass spittoon is? A brass spittoon is 筒子做的, okay, 筒子做的. And it was about this round, and you spit in it. Spit, okay, 弹语的. That's a spittoon, okay? Okay, and there was one on the back porch. 这个家的后面 there was a brass spittoon, okay, out on the back porch. The porch is not in the house, and it's not outside the house. It's halfway between inside and outside. It's called a porch, okay? It never gets rainy in there. Rain doesn't fall inside of a porch, but it's cold or hot or whatever because it's not inside the house. So they had this brass spittoon. Spit is 吐痰, okay? 吐痰 is to spit, okay? Okay, going on. It had, the spittoon had a lid on it, and we were instructed never to touch it because there was a bat inside. Do you know what a bat is? 蝙蝠. 蝙蝠. It's like a bird, but it's not a bird. It flies. It's a mammal. It's not a bird, okay? But it can fly, okay? 蝙蝠. As little children, we heard stories, 听过故事 about blood-sucking bats. 听过故事啊，关于这个吸血的蝙蝠。哦，好可怕！ And then, of course,我的婶婶呢 my Aunt Martha, she would say, oh, there's a bat inside there. You better be careful. Of course, we didn't know that there are not very many blood-sucking bats in the world. Not very many. But it was scary. 很可怕. We were frightened, 怕得要命. Okay? Going on. It was many years before I ventured, okay? Ventured is try to look at, to do something. Try to do something. To look inside. And by then, the helpless little creature. Creature 是一个动物. Okay? Helpless. Of course he's helpless because he's 关在里面. Okay? The helpless little creature was dead and gone. Okay, so that's my grandfather's house. Now, how about your grandfather's house? Okay, so here she comes, ladies and gentlemen, the chief star of the show. Okay, of my show. You're the chief star of my show. Okay, what about your grandfather?
Well, my grandfather's house, as I recall, was not that interesting, not compared to yours.
Yeah, maybe. My grandfather, he, like I said, he came from England. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Actually, I was going to say that we did live in a house that was similar to Grandpa Ash's house. And it was the same huge high ceilings and small bedrooms and
right.
footage.
Very, very old. Where was that? When you were young?
That was in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's after we got married. Yeah.
And that was definitely like a grandfather's house.
Oh, yeah, it was a grandfather's house. 这个屋顶好高啊. Okay.
And the stairs were very steep.
Oh, 好陡. Okay.
And the porch was very nice because it had a nice family swing that everybody there in the family could swing at the
Right.
same time.
I'll say, so on the porch, again, the porch is qiantai, and on this porch, you could actually sit on the swing,
Uh-huh.
and the two of us,
See,
yeah,
three?
yeah.
Yeah.
three, and we sit there and we go back and forth
Mhm.
and back and forth. Actually, Grandpa's house had one of those too,
Uh-huh.
and but it was outside. It wasn't on the porch.
Yes.
So, anything else that you recall from your grandfather? How much hair did your grandfather have?
Not very much at all.
Less than my grandfather.
Yes, but he was an administrator, very intelligent leader,
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so 做行政的.
teacher.
Okay, and he was actually worked in a hospital too. I remember
Yes,
for
plant
some,
manager.
and he worked in a university too.
Mhm.
And I even met him in the older, and boy, he could sing. He had this deep, deep voice, and every time we would sing at your grandpa and grandma's house, he would just sing, and the whole house would shake. He was a very interesting person.
Yes.
So I remember him too. Okay, well, I think that we've had about enough of Grandpa's old house, and now we can share about how people can write to us.
Yes.
Okay, our email 电邮的地址 is the old principal, PAL, okay, at gmail.com. Just remember, principals are 原则, but this principal, 校长, is PAL. You know how it's easy to remember? 你要做校长的好朋友, pal 就是好朋友, okay? So then you will never make a mistake. The old principal at gmail.com. And our website is www.theoldprinciple.org. With that, that's it. That's all the time we have for. Join us next time for another lesson.